It's making a tidbit more sense, but I'm still off.
Yeah. So if we look at our, it would be courses controller. HTTP get, all that right in there would be get animals, endpoints that return animals you've seen. There it is, right there. Then get / search species, so it's a different.
So it would be a different controller. Because the route is different. So see how the first one was API / animals?
Yes.
And now it's API / search. It's going to be a separate controller. That's really what I wanted to work with you this afternoon was, hey, I want to make a search controller for my golf courses.
You started recording this?
You already did?
I am.
Awesome.
So I want to make a new controller called search controller. Bring over the basics.
You just brought that from the original view controller?
It's any real controller.
Any controller.
Yeah. Alright.
That's a good way to start, right there.
Yeah. And then from here, it's going to be some sort of get, right? Like it was before. And what we're going to be returning in action results. And what do we think? What's a return type here? What do we think?
Nah.
Is it?
This is creating a search bar?
Yes. Yeah.
What's a return type is a golf course.
A golf course? So if we're searching for golf courses.
I guess it would be all the golf. Well, no, it'd be a golf course.
So if I do a search.
Courses.
So this kind of comes down to how we want to define our search.
Right.
So a search typically is, hey, if I pass you P, you give me all golf courses that have P in it. So it's going to be a list of things. Instead of me just checking, hey, does PBC exist? Does my cool golf course exist? If I search for MI, I should get my cool course. So it will be a list of courses.
So I enumerable.
Yep, I enumerable golf course.
You're recording.
I am recording.
What's with the double? And then answers.
With the double bracket?
At the end there, the double arrow.
Yeah. So it is. So.
Golf courses is within.
Yep.
I got it.
Yeah. If we highlight it, that's kind of what it is. We see the action result takes a type, and that type is a list of golf courses.
Is that
It's
what
like parentheses within parentheses.
Exactly.
the numeral does? Like finds the golf course? Numeral?
Yeah. IEnumerable is a list. We're saying, hey, it's a list of golf courses. We also know that our search term is going to be a string, right?
Because that's fun. The action result? Oh.
So now in here, what do we need to do? We need to query the database for golf courses that contain the search term. Right? So we want to query the database where the golf course name contains the search term. How are we feeling so far?
It's pretty much the same thing so far.
Yeah,
A
it looks.
little bit of difference in text, but pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm. So how do we query the database? You first need to make the database. Var db equals new golf course context.
Database already created?
Nope, not here. This is an entirely new place. The database is created and already exists, but now we just need to access it. So we're saying, hey, I want to access the database. I want to select golf courses where w.name, or it'd be w.name
What's up with the W?
dot contain. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just going to finish my thought real fast.
Good.
Isn't that what the abbreviation for where?
Yep. So I'm saying, hey, give me all golf courses where the golf course equals name. W is a habit that I picked up from documentation and so forth when I was learning LINQ. Like, oh, it's a where clause. Your lambda should have W. But this could easily be something a bit more meaningful.
Your lambda.
Yeah, your lambda. That's a lambda function.
Okay.
Just a different type of function. That's all.
Where's the search box found?
Like the actual box that we're searching in.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten that yet. That'll be over in the React app.
That would be like the same.
Yeah, that's nothing crazy. We'll make this and then we'll actually hook it up to our React app next.
Alright.
So now we have our results where course name contains whatever the search term is.
So you should be able to execute that in console, right?
Yeah, and over in Postman. And I'm actually going to do something else here to lower it because I don't care about case.
Will that find application languages?
So db.golfcourses.where course.name.toLower. Just kind of make it a bit prettier. That's debatably better to read. Debatably. I'm not sold on its readability, but it's a different format that you'll see. And then we just want to return results.
Where results equals database.golfcourse where
So like variable. What are you looking for?
Why did you change that?
this is a problem.
Never interrupt a coder.
No, yeah, I cannot implicitly convert type iQueryable golf courses to action result. So we're going to get rid of the action result here. So we're saying, hey, find it and return my result. So now I should be able to go over to the Postman to test this out. So my Postman, I come over here. So the API I'm going to go to this morning, it was /API/courses, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. Don't show this window on launch. So instead, now I'm going to be heading to search. Now I want to pass it a parameter, but it's a get, so we're not using the body here. This is where URL parameters come into play. So remember, I don't know if we formally covered this or not, but URL parameters. Inside of URL, I can pass it things like I would pass a function. And at this point, it's question mark, and then it's a key value pair. So the key is search term equals, and then whatever value.
Search term equals okay mine.
Mhm.
Because my favorite course
It's just search team.
Oh.
says because my so I got it. You can be as specific as you need to be to make that search true.
Correct. Okay, so that's right.
But if you search just for my, it will still pick up my course.
Yes, so if I search here, can I get any response from there? Why not? Help if I actually run it. That would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
On mine, it gave me a security error just because on Chrome it said this is unsecure or something.
Ask me about that in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
So now if I send this, I should get back my cool golf course. And if I do a search for P, I should get back PVC. If I do a search for C, I should get back both of them.
Why?
I was gonna say, so what would be the easiest way to search for all? Could you search by name?
That's what I'm searching for right now, is search by name. You mean just like, I don't, wait, so search by all?
Right, like if I wanted all the courses.
If I wanted all the courses, then I no longer go to this endpoint. I go to courses.
What if we wanted to search by rank?
So that would be another. So this is kind of how you want to define your API. The two strategies there are you can either make a second one that says search by rank, or what you could do is you could overload. So actually, I'll ask you this. Do you want to be able to search by rank, or is it a name and rank? Or how do you envision that working?
I mean, there's a couple ways it could work.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for now, I guess what I was really thinking of is if I search pro, I want to see all of the pro courses.
Okay.
I think maybe a better application though would be search by name and filter by rank. But I feel like that's probably significantly more complex. No?
No, we'll actually show you both.
Okay.
So if we wanted to filter by search term and rank, so my search term is now going to search, hey, does my name and my rank contain this? That's where our where clause is just a little more complicated. So it's no longer just that. It's or course.rank.toLower.
What's to lower do?
Converts it to a lowercase.
Isn't the rank a number?
Nope.
The rank is a string.
Oh, it's pro or
Yeah. So now here, I can come over here, and I can type in pro. And then once it's done recompiling, I think they're both pro. No, only one's pro.
The other one was null. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now I know. Oh, I can search. I'm searching by pro. I'm searching by name. So now I've made my API endpoint flexible enough that it's actually querying for both.
That's the best idea.
So that's a way to do it. The other way to kind of make it a bit more flexible, but a bit more specific, is that what if I wanted to search all pro ones for ones that contain green, or whatever. If I want to actually combine those, I can add a second parameter here. Let's do, we're going to do this real fast. So we're going to use something called optional parameters in C#. Did you ever cover this in JavaScript?
Mm-hmm.
So with this now, can you all see this all right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going, hey, my function search takes two parameters, a name and a rank. If I don't supply them, then they equal to null. So now I can call this with no parameters, I can call it with one parameter, or I can call it with two parameters. So it's going to make it a bit more flexible. Do you see where this is going now? Because these parameters directly relate to what is inside of that query string. So what we can do is we can go name here, we can change this to rank. I'm actually going to make these empty strings. Because over here, I can go name equals cool, ampersand, rank equals pro.
Notes.
So now it's matching on my cool course because of the name and the rank equals pro. That's really not what we wanted though, right?
No. That's just like searching for two separate terms.
So you switch that to an and.
That's like specific.
So now it's not going to have anything to return.
Right. So now whenever we send this, it's going to go, sorry. Wow, real sorry. It should be a empty object. Because nothing fits that description. But if we switch this to just C, we no longer get both of them, we just get one of them. And then I can say, hey, I actually don't care about rank.
Yeah, I get both.
You should get both. Why did I not get both?
Because it's searching for a rank of an empty
string, and it's a rank of null. Do you want to see something really cool?
Yes.
Sure, yes.
So if we switch these default values to null, so
You
why?
just type in search and then it'll return everything.
No, well you could, but you see how like we can't do 2 lower on null, because remember 2 lower on a null object is going to cause an exception, right? Before we go too crazy, so we have to do a ternary here to catch to see if it's null. So if it's null, and we're getting crazy here. These next 5 minutes are going to be crazy, okay? Just so everyone's aware.
Alright.
All right, so we're gonna pause that real fast. Then what we can do is if name does not equal null, results equals results dot where w dot
Equals dot.
So that's just an error right there. Doesn't like it.
It does not.
Get an extra parentheses. There's an extra red one then.
Query, there we go. And then I'm missing a semicolon. And if rank does not equal null, we return results. So what this is doing, I want to see if this works before I explain what's going on. That moment where it's still compiling, you're like, there we go. So it works now. So what's going on here? That is the big question. So Entity Framework does something called lazy loading. So what that means is that it won't run your query until it absolutely has to. So in our old result, where we had var results equal lambda, right? It built the query up here, but it didn't run it until we actually returned it. So it's saying, hey, okay, this query is all fine and dandy, but running it is expensive. I'm going to wait till the last minute to run it. So with that idea, what we can do, we can actually build our query dynamically. And go, hey, here's my query. So when I create my queryable object, then I'm going to check and say, hey, if my name exists, okay, query by name. If I have a rank, okay, query by rank as well. Because now it's going to build up this query as we go. And then it's not going to actually execute it until it gets down here. If this feels crazy, it's okay. This is kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie.
Would you do that real world practice?
Oh yeah, I've done this before. But for day one, this is kind of crazy.
Is that better practice to do it that way? Or?
It gives you a bit more flexibility to kind of control what's actually going on inside query. So if you do have a complex data model, those like omni search bars that like, hey, query based on this, or this. You
Yeah.
know, like they do stuff like this as well. Where
Like
it's
enter a city zip code or
yeah, like searching is a very super complex domain space. But this gives us a nice simple search. This is actually relatively simple.
Right.
But this is it. So that's a search controller. How do we feel with that?
or it's alright.
I don't expect you to do something. I just expect you to do like this where clause. Like you don't worry about doing it sort of like lazy loading kind of craziness. You're like, you know what? Give me results where name contains search term.
So when for the homework, we don't need to tie the front end to it, do we?
No, there's no front end for the homework.
Okay, so it's just this, and then you're gonna check it through Postman, basically.
Yep.
Okay.
Will you still show us how to type the front end to it?
Yeah. Are there any other questions about creating controllers or creating endpoints right now that we can think of? Any thoughts?
I do have a question about the homework. It's not related really to the
We didn't do it
endpoints,
delete.
but the add migration
Mhm.
says .NET EF migrations add board game table. Is that what we want to add into our
So the migrations is that last little label. That's only that's what you want to call that migration. So like your first migration might be like, hey, add a Safari table or something like that.
So we don't really need
Is this
that
homework supposed to
migration
be
yet.
easy?
It's a 2-day assignment. So it's a little bit bigger than normal.
What migrations are we adding when we do that?
So a migration you add whenever your model changes. So that's I update a field name, or I add a table or a column.
Okay. So that's after we put the code in, and then we add
Yep.
migration.
Correct.
We didn't do a delete.
What?
Delete.
We don't do delete.
We have to do a delete. Can we see a delete?
Yeah, you can see a delete.
That would be
I mean, we're either do it now or tomorrow.
cool. Oh yeah, okay. Whatever you think. I forgot we had 2 days for this assignment.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I mean, we're doing all 5 verbs here. So
Oh really? Okay.
yeah, it's just what order that we want to see them. Whether we want to do an endpoint and then do a React app, or do all of these and then do a React app afterwards, it makes no difference to me. If it would feel better to see the delete today,
I
I
think
can do
it's
that.
added front end. That's just me personally.
Let's 2:30. Let's do a delete and then let's tie it to the front end. Because quite honestly, we should be able to do both in half an hour. So a delete, going with the pattern. So I want to be able to delete a specific course.
It's a new controller.
Yep. So you don't need a new controller. So let's first off, anytime you want to add a feature, think about what's the URL structure. So I'm gonna head back to Postman, just like we would do like wireframes and stuff like that, or comments in code. Like I want to be able to go to a course /5 or 4 or whatever, and give it a delete request, and that should work. So I want to delete course number 1. Of course, I'm going to get a 404 because it doesn't exist yet. But I want this to work. That's kind of my guiding star.
Okay.
So I got here because we're building a RESTful API. And we're saying, hey, every item is on my database is a resource. So that means that I should be able to say, hey, delete course number 1, and it should work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got there. Are we all kind of okay with that?
Sure.
Sure. We have to put course number 1 first before we delete it, right?
So that being said, with that as our guiding star, how do we create that? So we want to create a new endpoint, so it's going to be a new method on our course controller. So here we are. What kind of verb is it?
To put.
It's a delete verb.
Oh, I thought we had to put before we delete it.
No.
Okay.
So we're going to be deleting it. So now it's going to be public. We're going to want to return something. We don't know what yet, right? So I'm just going to put a generic action result here. It's going to call delete. And what is it going to take?
The
String
Some sort of int for the ID, right? Int ID. So now we need to call it out up here. Yep.
Is that a single quotes?
Doubles. So now if we're deleting, we need to delete. We need to remove the item from the database.
Another var db.
Yep.
Delete.
We need to save the changes, and then we want to return something.
Or return nothing, right?
remove the
Yeah,
item for the
Mr. Obama.
database.
Yeah, no, like that's the thing is. So like we can talk about the return statement for a sec. So we want to return. So in RESTful, we always want to return what's modified, right?
So just return.
But what we're modifying is actually deleting. So
Returning an absence.
yeah, so return nothing. How do you return
Just
nothing?
return.
So there's a couple of different trains of thoughts here, and they're each valid. They each come with their both pros and cons. The first one is that we delete the one that we removed. Makes sense. I could see that. I could understand that. If I say, hey, delete one, pass me back that thing that was deleted.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I also see the train of thought where, hey, if it's deleted, just return me back a 200 okay, and that's it. Just nothing in the body, just, hey, good job, it worked. I also see the thing, return everything. Like, you modified your collection, now return the whole collection.
That's
I
kind
feel
of
like
what I
that
was
we did.
thinking.
That
So,
could
like-
get big though eventually.
Exactly. Each ones have their pros and cons.
Okay.
I personally like the one that just says, hey, 200, okay, you did it. Just because that kind of is like back at the like,
Right.
yeah, it's very light. It kind of goes back to the core of what RESTful and HTTP is. Like, okay, it's just a status of 200. That means that it worked. Yay. Really, there's no wrong answer there. So we'll get there in a second. So we want to remove the item from the database. So var db equals new golf context. We want, so to remove it with Entity Framework, it's actually a two-step process. We first need to query for it, and then we need to delete it. So let's query for it. db.course dot first or default course.id equals ID. What's your drama? Oh, course. We'll make you see. And then db.golfcourses.remove course. db.save changes.
Pretty straightforward.
So what this is doing, so high level logically, we're finding it and then deleting it. So we're saying, hey, does this thing exist? If it does, do something called bringing it into context. So we're bringing it into context. We're saying, hey, we're actually deleting it, and then we're saving it back, changes back to our database.
What's first order default?
So first or default, we'll search this collection. So we'll search my database table. It'll give me the first one that matches it, this criteria, or it'll give me null.
Okay. Is null the default?
Yeah.
So
It'll give me the default value. In this case, it's null. If it was like a list of integers, it'll give me 0, stuff like that. So whatever the default value is.
you're still not returning anything, right?
Not yet.
Why do we have to do variable db equals new golf course
Because
context each time?
each time, that's a very good question. That seems redundant, huh?
Because you have to create a new context for each.
But this is
don't you?
reconnecting my database every single time. You're absolutely right. This seems
You
nuts.
can't just do like a global variable set db new golf course
There
context.
is. There is a way to do that.
feel like that would be above the public, or like outside of the most whatever. the
And you know
class
what?
is.
We'll touch on that tomorrow.
So just not on the
If you
Yeah.
did it above the namespace, is that?
No, it's actually using something called dependency injection, which we listed in the services of what we're using, and then we can use that in the controllers.
Okay.
So you just call
It's nothing too crazy, nothing to be scared of. The word sounds intimidating, like dependency
Like all
injection.
things do here.
Yeah, right. But the actual implementation is really not that rough.
Cool. Just save you some code, basically.
Yeah.
Just make a quick reference to it.
Yeah,
Shortcut.
it saves you some code. It also does managing of the database connections for you.
Cool.
Just to
Okay.
layer some things on. Like, this creates a new connection to the database every single time,
Uh-huh.
which if you have a lot of users that can really like connect your database, that's not good. Things are crashing and whatnot. Dependency injection kind of helps manage that complexity for you.
So that means like each user establishes one single connection and then continues to use that one connection.
So as of right now,
Per
variable DB
request,
equals
not even user per request.
every time they do something on the page. It's
Yeah.
gonna
Here,
hit
I meant with dependency injection.
Yeah.
There is one connection for the user.
Yeah, it's at that point the framework is now managing who gets what
Okay.
what connections.
Is it quicker?
Yes. At the end of the day, it does end up being quicker.
As of right now, variable DB equals new golf course context is our way of connecting to the data. It'd be our PGCLI
Yep.
golf course.
Yep.
Just making sure I understood what that did.
Mhm.
Okay.
So now we deleted something. Now we need to return something.
Return delete.
So return success. Return that it worked. Does that sound good? So how do we return nothing? Well, we return. Okay.
Okay.
I like that just because.
Return okay. That just means that hey, it worked.
Is that actually returning okay?
Yeah, it returns a 200 success.
Oh. So
Mhm.
okay is equal to 200 success.
Yep.
I just like using OK in my code. I'm using that.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Another thing you could do, like just to kind of like go back to it, you can wrap anything inside of an okay.
Let's say
And
202
always get
success.
Yeah, this is saying 200 success, but also return this value.
Mhm.
So it does function the exact same thing, but I like putting okay. Anyway, so yeah.
Okay.
So what's cool about this is that we're just returning an action result. What we can do is like, hey, if it's not found, we can return a 404. So like,
Yeah, because then see, that's what I was just gonna say. Me, I get the okay. I'm still gonna want to, especially early on. I'm still gonna want to go then do a get and look at my database. And
Right.
make sure, okay, it's not there.
right.
Like I'm a little bit hyper,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then doesn't it get confusing if it's a 404 because it's not found or because
Well, we wouldn't.
it's an error?
So if it's an error, it's going to return a 500, which is fine, which is
Okay.
expected. But here we're saying, hey, if I go to delete course number 5, which we don't have inside of our system, I'm going to get a 404, that resource is not found. Because really what a 404 means that whatever we're trying to find doesn't exist. And in a RESTful API, we're trying to find resources.
Yeah.
So we're going, hey, this resource that's located at ID 4 doesn't exist. So now if I head back over here, over yonder, if I try to do a 5,
404.
it should give me a 404. And it does. But if I do a 1, that is 200.
Awesome.
So now I'm going to redo my get just to kind of see them. And I have number 2.
You just create.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, I did the delete here, ran it, came back okay.
If you wanted to put it back, you could put post.
Yep, if I wanted to put it back, I'll head over to my post.
I feel like I get this part way easier than actually.
You're building a database.
Once
Yes,
you
we
get
are.
it going,
Yes, we are.
once you get it going, interacting. That's why I really like it though, because once you got it rocking, you can do whatever you need to do with your front end.
Yeah,
But
right?
getting to that point, it's gonna take a couple tries.
how do you do that thing you were talking about, like information or data seeding or something?
Data seeding, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I need so that I don't have to manually enter.
Is that like scripting?
No, it's so right now whenever we create our database with our migrations, it's blank, right? Like there's no data inside of it.
Mhm.
So like if I'm working on a project and then Gabe goes to pull it down and run it because he's also on my dev team, and he migrates his database is not going to have any data that I have. It's going to be a completely blank database, which is fine. But sometimes you want to like seed your database with something to like, hey, I don't need to go in and enter in 5 random golf courses. We have it programmed in. We have 5 golf courses. So how do we do that? Over here on our golf course, there's the on-model creating function that I told you about earlier. And then it is model builder, which is just a fancy way of saying, hey, this is what I'm going to be using to actually create my models. Dot entity. We're going to check for golf course. And we want to make sure that it has data. And then this has data is a function that just takes a list of golf courses.
Oh. Okay.
So you can separate from commas.
Yeah, ID equals 10. Or, it should be 1 because it would be a blank database in theory.
So you would be building out a database right there.
So 5. You can put in all the other values as well if you wanted to.
Is that where in Pennsylvania you were?
No, that's just the capital of Pennsylvania. And so now that we've changed our models now, we need to add a migration.
Don't you have to change ID number too?
Oh yeah, I do, huh? So .NET migration, EF migrations added seed data.
So when you have multiple tables, here you're entering into the golf course table. So I would enter into like the race series table and then like the events table. Okay.
See, okay. Golf course cannot be added because another seed entity with the same key value for ID has already been added. Lies. Oh, it wants to create the ID for you?
Yeah, which would be nice. And the latest version of Entity Framework in EF Core, they changed how seeding works. So I'm still learning the ins and outs of like what they want here.
Are you running the newest one right now?
Yeah, we are. What?
Not even on music song.
Empty string? ID equals empty string? Lots.
Why is he giving you that tools error right there? Warning. Message.
It said don't put values in there. It's not going to work because you need values in there.
So let's make something ridiculous. It's asking for them, but it's not liking the values that we're supplying them. My next step is just to delete the database and start again. There we go. So now that we've added a migration, let's go check it out.
And we just created 2 main ones, so it populated all the ID numbers.
Mhm.
So that was what it was.
Yeah, we needed to get actual ID numbers here, whatever would be valid inside of our system. So this migration is purely about data. There's no like schema changes. How before we had like a create table one. This is just saying, hey, insert this data, and that's it. So now whenever I actually apply this migration, .NET EF database update. I come back over here to my courses. I should be able to have, I should now have 6, right? Yep, and they're there.
Okay. So
So now for people who have like data intensive apps that rely on like data being there, like a racing track application maybe, you're gonna want to do something like this. Or you're like, here's a series that I care about, ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and here's a handful of events that I care about. That I know I want inside of my system. And to me, this is a lot easier than writing SQL statements.
Oh, God, yes.
But that's just me.
So this is a way for me to, or for anyone to add data to their database through this rather than through the post and the book.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you're doing. You're just adding it in. So if I wanted to start my app with static data, boom.
Yep,
If I
put
wanted
data
to use
there.
my app to add data, that would be the
Yeah.
controller.
Yep.
Got
Yep. This is like, what data do I need inside of my app? So apart from like seeding your data with like stuff that you want inside of it, what you can do for this, a real world application is like, are there any configuration settings that you want? Do you want to seed a default admin user? Do you want to seed a couple events? Do you want to seed some data? Stuff like that is like, hey, it should go right here. Anything that you need to do as soon as your app starts should go here.
it. Okay. Okay, that's cool though. Because that's going to be important for me especially.
That's more for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Probably everybody.
probably.
It's just easier to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, I was going along line. I was going to build my admin page and then manually put all my stuff in that way, but that seems like a lot of work. That should be like after the fact.
Create the piping, and then add in the
Because
seed.
I'd have a working app at that point, and then if you wanted to do more.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's our default data. We actually have some data now. So we head over to our search endpoint. You know, it's actually a little bit more. Give us a bit more things. We have Harrisburg and Boise. So now let's hook this up to a React app real fast.
Sure.
Does that sound good?
Sure.
If it's-
Mine's not going up. Is that the best way for us to create for the homework? That's probably the best way to create the animals database, and then start
I would throw a handful of animals here
right.
just to kind of get some good data and then go from there.
Where's that? That's the context.
You pull from another
You could.
API. An animal API.
City golf course app. Good dot. So app.js, we need what? A search bar, right?
Yeah, we need something to entry.
Input box, yeah, sure.
Thank you. Just to kind of give us a plan, we need a search box with a button. It says search. We don't care what icons today. Right above our list of. I got a lot brighter in here. That's why. Right? Sounds good to me. Something really simple.
Just a list that popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Alright.
Yeah, we're gonna take our LI, put a search box above it.
You might make it populate to a table for practice.
Yeah. I see what you did there. Hey, yeah,
Sorry, done.
we updated our data. So, there's reading from our API. That's awesome. Pleasant surprises are fun. So, we want to add a search box right here. Input, we'll throw into a form. Hold on.
Why do you do that?
So I get some IntelliSense down here. input.
Changes the autocomplete for you.
It does.
Yeah,
Type equals search. Placeholder equals search for the course. Got a button, search. So handle search term update. Does this look familiar?
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
It's fuzzy.
It's not foreign. It's not this one, right?
It's not foreign, but it's fuzzy.
Set state term equals target dot value.
E is just an E, right?
What's
Yep.
the term? So colon E. What's the value of the search?
I'm just storing. So as they type, I'm storing what they're typing. And then whenever they click submit, on submit, whenever they actually click submit on the form, this dot search, it's called search equals function. Now we're going to be doing a fetch here, right? We are heading over to our API.
Which is now updated, right? It's now like the API is updated to have like New Orleans and Boise.
Yes. Slash API slash search. And this is where string interpolation really comes into play.
$sign.
Let's change these to backticks. Because we're in JavaScript. We have name equals this dot state
Not course.
dot term.
Term.
What have we put up there?
What's the term colon?
Term E.
Yeah,
That's the
term.
value.
Right here.
Yeah, what is the colon signify?
So this outside state takes an object, right?
Yeah.
So I want to. So as they type in the text box, I want to store what they're typing in state. So whenever they're done, it will automatically be there, so I can fire it off. Term is what I'm using to store in state.
Sure.
I can probably name this something like course name or search term or something like that. And then I say, hey, set state, set the value term equals to whatever the e.target.value is. E.target.value is the value of the input box that fired the event. Okay? Does that help?
Oh yeah.
I think so.
You're so fried right now, aren't you?
Oh my god, unbelievably so.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, it's hilarious to watch JavaScript because I'm like, God, this is a lot easier to understand. Like, this is so easy.
It
I
took me like 2 minutes to figure that I wasn't looking at C# anymore.
Yeah, right? So anyways, we're gonna search, we're gonna get our results back. And really, we need to set the results to just being courses for a JSON, right? And that's it. If I head back over here,
Now we have a search bar. Oh, son of a...
you're gonna be that guy.
That guy.
Nobody likes that guy.
I think it was because you're importing after JS.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So if I want to search for a course, if it's in there, I want to search for new. Search. Inspect. Where'd I break?
We have an event listener for click on there. So every time I make a button, I just click it in the console log.
Me too. I really
I was
do.
gonna say,
This is the first time
really
I
good
don't.
teacher taught me that.
Wonder who that was. So there's one button not doing anything. like at all.
I'm intrigued by your Hot Wheels folder.
You're the first person to mention that.
Really?
Yeah, of all I've had up there for like a year, and no one's ever mentioned
Where
that.
is it?
I haven't. You know what prevent default does? Have you seen that before?
No.
In JavaScript.
Yeah, we're in JavaScript.
Yeah.
Okay.
What does it do?
So it is.
It's what we use to prevent the context menu.
Yeah, so with certain actions, there's default actions. So like a form by default will take you to a new page. So it'll refresh the current page. I don't want it to do that. I just want it to handle my event and that's it. So I'm saying, hey, event, stop, and let me take over. That's all that's saying. And I want that because I want new search. And hey, it works. It worked.
Does enter work for you? Up in the input.
Or if I'm over here, what else do we have?
Over to the circle.
Did you set it up that way?
Yeah, that's what that form is doing. That's an on submit.
On submit.
On submit means that enter
I've
works.
yet to be able to make an app where enter works.
On
Gavin
submit is
showed us one.
Gavin showed us a really long way to do it.
And-
But on submit is just the enter key.
Yeah. So like, there's a couple ways to do it. Is you can either like try to listen for like keystrokes.
That's
Right.
what he taught us.
If
So
keystroke
all we
equals
needed was
this.
on submit.
You can throw a form on there, and the form will register the enter key, and you're just tying into that event. It's just a different way to do it.
It has to be inside of a form.
Yeah, that's the only downside is now your input has to be inside of a form.
That's
And
what
the
I mean.
button as
So
well.
if you want a button to be able to be enterable, it doesn't have to be in a form, but I guess that's a rare situation.
Right.
Does that just that means the button is on submit as well?
Yep. So the button, when I click it, or when I'm focused inside of that box and I hit enter, it's going to fire the estimate.
Do you need the button?
I don't need the button. I think it's visually easy to have the button.
Yeah. It's cool.
A little bit of UX, like, hey, this is a search bar. I'm gonna search. Hey, it's 3 o'clock. I have to update the movie stuff. Anyways, so that's a search bar. Was there a question in there?
About no, just how the enter worked.
Okay.
Other than that, that's fishing.
Is there something else I was gonna show you? I feel like I was gonna do something, but I got sidetracked.
If you wanted to see everything that was in like about the golf course on the React app.
Yeah. At this point, our map. We just update our map.
So you put like course name,
Yeah. We have name,
location,
Rank.
goals.
rank. Rank is course dot rank. And those don't have ranks, of course. So yeah,
We learned so much today. Like
I know.
just absurd. My mind is swimming because of all of the shit that I want to implement. Ah, it's awesome.
So let's break it down. Let's do one step at a time.
You know.
Let's worry about the APIs today and building out the C# side of things.
Slow down. Slow down.
Sure, you don't want an API of salaries in different states.
I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
Oh,
How sure?
98%.
Look at this.
All my money on that
It's about
2%.
Bitcoin prices for the last week.